from the book of John, chapter 9, verses 18 to 41. The Jews did not believe that he had been blind and had received his sight until they called the parents of the man who had received his sight and asked them, "Is this your son who you say was born blind? How then does he now see?" His parents answered, "We know that this is our son and that he was born blind, but how he now sees we do not know, nor do we know who opened his eyes. Ask him, he is of age, he will speak for himself." His parents said this because they feared the Jews, for the Jews had already agreed that if anyone should confess him to be Christ, he was to be put out of the synagogue. Therefore his parents said, "He is of age, ask him." So for the second time they called the man who had been blind and said to him, "Give God the praise. We know that this man is a sinner." He answered, "Whether he is a sinner, I do not know. One thing I know, that though I was blind, now I see." They said to him, "What did he do to you? How did he open your eyes?" He answered them, "I have told you already, and you would not listen. Why do you want to hear it again? Do you too want to become his disciples?" And they reviled him, saying, "You are his disciple, but we are disciples of Moses. We know that God has spoken to Moses, but as for this man, we do not know where he comes from." The man answered, "Why, this is a marvel. You do not know where he comes from, and yet he opened my eyes. We know that God does not listen to sinners, but if anyone is a worshiper of God and does his will, God listens to him. Never since the world began has it been heard that anyone who opened the eyes of a man born blind. If this man were not from God, he could do nothing." They answered him, "You were born in utter sin, and would you teach us?" And they cast him out. Jesus heard that they had cast him out, and having found him, he said, "Do you believe in the Son of Man?" He answered, "And who is he, sir, that I may believe in him?" Jesus said to him, "You have seen him, and it is he who speaks to you." He said, "Lord, I believe," and he worshipped him. Jesus said, "For judgment I came into this world, that those who do not see may see, and that those who see may become blind." Some of the Pharisees near him heard this, and they said to him, "Are we also blind?" Jesus said to them, "If you were blind, you would have no guilt. But now that you say we see, your guilt remains." The word of the Lord.
Talk about a series of unfortunate events. First of all, this man was born blind, so he had to go through life with a disability in a time and a culture where he would have been marginalized, judged, and stigmatized. Secondly, there was a popular religious thought that said if you're suffering, it's because of your own sins. It's kind of like our day and age and what they think of karma. Third of all, this blind man gets healed by Jesus, and people start questioning his healing. No one is celebrating the amazing thing that has just happened in his life. How sad is that? Fourth of all, Jesus healed him on the Sabbath, which made the Pharisees mad because if you're healing on the Sabbath, it doesn't mean you're resting, so you are breaking God's laws. Insert big eye roll here because it's God himself who healed him. Fifth, not even his parents had the guts to stand up to the religious authorities because they were afraid they'd be kicked out of their place of worship for acknowledging Jesus as Messiah. How sad is that? Not even his family defended him or stuck up for him. Sixth of all, his healing is being investigated and questioned by the Pharisees. They accused him of not even being healed at all. They said, "Were you really born blind?" You would think that this man's entire life would get better once he's healed, but there's actually more drama added to his life. I know a lot of dear people who have suffered so much, and many more events happen in their life to bring them even more down. But sometimes the more people suffer, the more their survival instincts kick in. And this is what happened with this guy. What impresses me so much about this man is that he stood up for himself. He was born at a disadvantage. He was judged by the world as a person with a disability because of his sins or his parents' sins. Yet this guy stood up. He stood up to religious authorities. He didn't hide, lie, or acquiesce to their intimidation. He not only told the truth about his story, but he didn't care if he was kicked out of a place of worship by the Pharisees, probably because he was never welcome there in the first place. That is so sad. He also got under their skin because he said, "Why are you asking for my healing story again? I already told you. You want to be a disciple of Jesus or something? Is that why you're asking me?" That made them pretty mad. He also used their own logic and said that Jesus must be godly because God heard his prayer and healed him. He said, "Isn't that what you think? Like, God hears the prayers of those who are godly, right? So then Jesus must be godly." That's the logic that they were using. This made the Pharisees really angry. They began to insult him because he was speaking to them so boldly. I was honestly so proud of this man. I said, "Bravo!" Because of his boldness, he was kicked out of the place of worship, his own place of worship. And it wasn't because he did anything wrong, but it was because of foolish religiosity. But Jesus finds him after he's kicked out, and he approaches him and he reveals himself as Messiah. And the man worships Jesus as he recognizes, "Yeah, you are God, you are the Messiah, you are my Savior and my healer." Do you ever feel powerless to the authorities or situations around you? Well, remember that God is more powerful, and in our weakness, he is strong. Stand up for the truth. Stand up for yourself. Stay faithful to Jesus. He's with you no matter how dark or oppressive your circumstance is. Be strong and courageous. Do not be discouraged. Do not be afraid, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go.